What is going on, everybody, and welcome back into Byerly Studios for number 6. That's session number 6 of this awesome American brown eagle here. Now, I originally did not intend this to be a brown eagle, but I was loving the rich brown colors I was applying to this painting, and I just really wanted to continue with that. Now, we've already got another layer of white paint applied to the actual outside of the feathers of the eagle. We also have the back blended in over that amazing gold leaf. And you can check out all of those previous videos in the previous sessions. So at any point in time, you can jump to the info card above, that little eye in the right-hand corner, or to the very end of this video, and you will be able to get a link to the overall playlist for this on my YouTube channel. This is a partial real-time video here of me creating this painting. So if you want to follow along or make something in your own similar style, you can do so. This painting in total, it was very fun, and I really took my time creating this. This painting is an entry into the Carolina Classic Fair. This is a partial abstract entry of an American bald eagle. Brown eagle, as it were. Now, at this point in time in this session, we are going to be creating a nice acrylic wash. Now, we had already put an acrylic wash on it before we layered in more colors. And as you can see in the background, we did layer in a different tone of background. I went in with a pale blue as well as an olive. And then we also introduced a little bit of hooker green in there just for that nice sap green, bright green look to it. It really adds a more sky slash looking through the trees effect to it. And as we introduce more of these washes into this session, session number 6, it's really going to kind of change the overall look of the painting. I want to dinge it out. I want to kind of give it a nice drip effect. And the drip effect is what really brings the abstract level up. Almost everything on this painting has been done with a palette knife, so it has very thick lines and paint on it. And I am going to be selling prints of this. So at the end of this video, if you are interested in seeing my prints, you can get to those through Etsy, or you can go look at my name, John Byerly, on Pictorum. That's Pictorem. Pictorum, and you'll be able to find all of my prints there over the next few years. I'm also doing photography prints as well. So here we are on the base here. Look how great that overall branch is looking. Look at the rock formations, how really nice and vibrant they look against the brown of the branch and the background. And it really pops the overall bottom of the painting there. It looks really significantly great, and I'm really happy with how it's turning out. Now, again, we're doing a wash here, so we're kind of going over some of those gold leaf inserts around the branch and around the background. And when we do that, it's going to change the overall color tone of those gold leaf inserts to make them almost look like a nice bronze or a kind of a rusted texture. It really keeps the shine from behind when the light shines on it. However, it really does darken them out quite a bit. It makes them a little bit less noticeable, but at the same time, it makes them more ornate, as it were. I think they look more rustic and ornate, and I think that it increases the overall look of the painting. And we're really going to focus this wash, this Raleigh and Dollar and Raleigh ink wash, on the background and on the edges. And all we're using it for is to just kind of tone some of those extreme high white highlights that we had previously applied in the last video. Now here's a side shot of me kind of applying this in a quick manner here. And I'm also doing that around the edges of the painting. This is the original, right? This isn't the actual print. So the print will have black edges around the outside. But the original has gold leaf all the way cascading around the edges of the painting. And those are also toned with the same different washes. Now we're using a sepia wash as well as a burnt umber. And a raw umber wash. So it depends on the situation on how darkening I want it to be before I apply different washes. But as we continue through this, I know I'm talking pretty fast, you guys. I want to be able to explain everything that's going on in every session. That way, if you are watching it independently for the particular problem or item that you're looking for, whether it be the washes or the gold leaf application, or even just using the palette knife to apply the overall thick layers of paint, then you can kind of see those videos on their own. But I just wanted you to understand where the painting is coming from, where it's going, and what we're doing to overall change the way it's looking here. Now this is the point where we're going to turn and we're really going to start tackling that time lapse you saw just a moment ago, and we're really going to start layering in that acrylic wash. We're going to really start to darken those out even more, and every layer that we put on after it dries a little bit will intensify that darkness every time. And we'll do some little fine details after this. Now the last video of this series will be a varnishing video. I've already varnished the outside edges of the canvas. And the next and final session will be us varnishing the surface of this painting here. I am very tempted to do a vertical varnish on this. I think it would be very challenging and very fun. And when doing a vertical varnish, you just need to make sure that you apply thin layers. I think that would be a challenge, and I think it will be fun to do so. So I think that we might do that. We might go ahead and give it a vertical application. I'll think about that, guys. I may not, just because it's my original and I really put a lot of effort into this painting. Maybe we'll try that on like a simpler painting at some stage in time. Let me think about it. I might get back to you. I guess we'll just be surprised in the next video, and you'll be able to find that under the varnishing playlist or under this one, which is the American Brown Eagle. We're also going to continue doing a little bit of brush work here. I'm going to be doing a little bit of brush highlights over the talons of the eagle, as well as the top feathers and things like that. So you'll see me use a brush a little bit in the middle of this video before we go into the full application of the wash. So just be aware, right now we're kind of toning some of those white highlights here and there throughout the painting, and then we're going to actually bring out some titanium white for some highlights and such like that. But otherwise, I'll pop in here and there, sit back and enjoy the music as you see me paint here. Very fun. All right, you guys, so I want to pop in here. As you can see, I'm going over the legs with that brown wash as well. Just be very careful not to go over the entire subject matter. I don't want all of the white highlights that we had previously applied to those feathers to be completely washed out, but I just want to add a little bit of richness to some of the highlights, to the shadows and things like that. You can also see that along the rock edges that the acrylic wash ink is really dripping down. Now I will use a paper towel and I will kind of wash a little bit of that away, just kind of dab it off so I don't get too many drips on it. I don't want to kind of completely wash out the nice rock texture that I have below. And when we do that, some of the drips will remain around the outside edges, but some of them will be washed away and gotten rid of. And I want to find that perfect balance between the two. Now here's the brush work that I spoke of earlier. I'm going to do a little bit of brush work here, not too much, guys, just kind of accent here and there. Some things that are harder to do with a palette knife. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply some just highlights to the edges of those toes and talons. So that way it just brings a little bit of eye catch to those. And they kind of stand out ever so slightly. Now, they're really not necessary, but I just felt like I wanted to do it. I was sitting back drinking a cup of coffee, and I'm like, I'm just going to apply a little bit of highlight to that, and that's what I did. All right, with this completely finished up here on the legs, we're going to move into the eye. Now, originally I was going to make the eye gold, and I worked through this process, and I'm going to show it to you regardless whether or not it stays that way. I consulted some family members as well as some friends, and they also agreed that the eye was way too bold and bright for the overall painting. It stood out way too much. So I would come back in here and I'm going to go ahead and apply different layers of paint. Even the time lapse on the left hand side that kind of sums up the overall painting process is not the final form. I decided to come back and give it a brown wash as well later, and I do dinge out even a little bit of that blues and the greens in the eye and make them less significant, less visible, and I want to shrink them down even more. I made the glare significantly too large for the overall painting, and it just looked out of place, out of sorts. And even when I was sitting back drinking my cup of coffee, it just didn't sit well with me, and that's why I had to go outside of my own perspective and gain insight from others to see how they felt about it. See, as I zoom out in the time lapse on the left hand side, it's just way too bright, you guys. I couldn't do it. So we're going to kind of change that up there. You'll see me go through quite a few different layers of paint, and I'll work maybe even a little bit on the side, not too much, but just enough, just kind of brown it out and kind of make it less significant, and then that is where it sits there. But you'll see it at the very end of this content video. You'll see it in its final form, and then the last video I'll do a highlight clip of what the overall final form of the eye looked like. I think it looks a lot better when it's browned out. Now, I do apply a little bit of gold leaf into that, so I will say that. I do apply a little bit of gold leaf, so just be aware that that's going to pop up in a moment as well. But I do brown that out with the acrylic washes, and when I do so, it changes the overall color into more of a bronze or a kind of a rusted color. And it really has that shine still. It's still there, but it's just less significant. It's less eye-pulling as it was before. So here it is. I'm going to go ahead and make a TikTok video. As you can see, they're holding my camera there. Very slick of me. But go ahead and sit back and enjoy, and I'll catch you back at the very end of this content video. I hope you guys are really enjoying yourself. All right, so we're nearing the end of the video here, you guys, but as you can see, I am applying that wash there. Now, this is more so of a sepia wash instead of a burnt umber, but I'll come back over this again with the burnt umber just to give it more of a brown color until I'm really satisfied with how it looks. Now, when it's all said and done, this acrylic drip wash really absolutely looks like forest trees in the background. And it really was not my original intention, because I really never did like a drip full wash bravely like this on a painting. But it looked significantly amazing, and I'm so glad I did this. And I look forward to applying more drips to my paintings in the future. Whether you call it dingy or dark like kind of painting, I really think that it applied richness to it. I think that richness is the word that I'm looking for, because the browns that I'm applying are rich in red and brown, and it looks really good. I'm trying also not to make any of the actual drip droplets visible, so I will kind of dry those up and then kind of fade the drips down into the background, into nothing. So just be aware that I'm going to come with a paper towel and kind of dry those up a little bit here and there throughout the process. And I'm continuing these all the way down to the branch below in some situations. And I'm also trying to make sure that these drip washes are kind of cascading behind the eagle. They would not just flow all the way around them. I'm going to go ahead and apply a little bit of detail here, a little bit of nostril hole on the beak. Very, very lightly, not much at all. And I'm going to go ahead and apply a little shadow to the beak there. Really doesn't necessary, but I felt like I needed it a little bit. And I applied a little bit of a dry brush under some of those accented raised edges of the beak that we had painted very thickly from before. I'm going to apply a little bit to the actual eye there. I'm going to blend out some of those glares. That's what I spoke of earlier. We're kind of getting rid of some of those glares there and going over them with the actual black eye, and it makes it less significant. At this point, I had already went over it with a brown wash already and darkened the actual eye socket to create a little bit of shadow, but I just felt like it needed a little bit extra there. That's all there is to it, guys. This is an absolute amazing painting, and I'm so proud with how it's turning out. Now, as you can see here, we're just going to go ahead and finish up that eye there, and we will see you in the next video of this overall series. Again, that will be the varnishing video, session number 7, the final session, and then we'll go ahead and finish up this entire playlist. I appreciate you watching, and make sure you hit the info card, check out the playlist, and make sure you subscribe as well. See what other kind of art is coming out very soon.